If you could tell your pre-miscarriage self one thing, what would it be?
If I could tell my pre-miscarriage self anything, number one, it would be buckle up.
Hi, thanks for clicking on Simply Tanika. I am Tanika. If you are new here, welcome. Hit that subscribe button. Let's hang out a while. If you are returning, welcome back. Let's get those babies, ladies.
I see the crystal raindrops fall and the beauty.
I am Tanika. Thanks for joining us today. We are observing pregnancy and infant loss awareness here on the YouTube channel and on my website, simplytanika.com. October is the month of pregnancy and infant loss awareness. It is observed here in the United States on October 15th. And as you know, it is very near and dear to my heart. I suffered a miscarriage last year. I am 1 in 4. And when it happened, I felt very alone and ashamed. And I have since made it my mission that no one else feel alone and ashamed about miscarriages or about infertility. And so here to help me further that cause is Shelly Mettling. I am very excited to introduce Shelly Mettling. Shelly is also 1 in 4, and she is currently halfway through her pregnancy to her rainbow baby.
Hey girly! Yes, I am Shelly.
Hello, Shelly. Thank you so much for coming to talk to me and the fam. I'm so excited to have you. First of all, how are you doing? Congratulations on the pregnancy. How are you? How's the little guy? Give us some details.
Everything is going really well. I mean, we'll obviously dig a little bit more into what really well means for me after 4 miscarriages, but everything is like, we're healthy, I'm healthy, baby's healthy, baby's growing right on track. And yeah, we're kind of between that 20-week mark and that 21-week mark, and every day counts.
That is so awesome. Yes, congratulations, congratulations. Shelly, thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us today. I think it's important for the fam to hear your story. For those of us who are still waiting for our rainbow babies, you give us such hope. I've watched with such joy. I ran across your channel during one of my 2-week waits, and there you were, so raw and so real, in a bathroom, I think on the floor, peeing on sticks. And I was like, there is a woman after my own heart, and I have been hooked ever since.
Bonus round. I'm going to turn you guys off for this one, and we'll turn it back on when we're ready. It's time to look at the birth response.
As I mentioned, I saw you when I was in my 2-week wait, and you were doing your pregnancy tests, and me being a very, self-proclaimed pee on a stick addict, POAS addict, I had mad respect for your game, girl. So for those of our fam who are watching and are needing a kind of a fix, can you tell us what your methodology is? Do you have a strategy for POAS? I used to, when I first started, I would pee on all the sticks. Every test in the house got peed on. Now I kind of progressively go up, and at that time I didn't even know about like levels, that some are more sensitive than others, so I would pee on everything. Now I kind of start with the cheapies, and then if I think I see a line, I progress up. Can you tell us a little bit about those times in the bathrooms where you were testing and what your strategy was?
Yes, I'm a pee on a stick addict as well. So, hi everyone. I feel like we should all be in a circle, like explaining our problems. When I first started trying to get pregnant, I became an addict instantly. It's kind of like you, I like peed on everything. Like if it was in the house, it was gonna be peed on. But as, you know, the months went on, things got expensive. You know, like it's expensive to be an addict, right? And I started switching to like the cheapies. And then if I thought that I saw a faint line, then I would move to the first response. And then if there was a line there, then I would progress onto the digital. And that was kind of like how I worked my way through my addiction. But let's be honest, there were still times where I just like caved, and if it was there, it was gonna get peed on.
Okay, I respect that methodology game. Like I said, mad game. So for those of the fam who haven't seen your journey, can you just share a little bit about what it was like taking those tests? I remember seeing you like one video, like your hands are shaking, you're like, I'm not gonna test, I think I am, I think I'm not. I've been there. I think everyone has been there. At points, did you start to think you were crazy for taking so many tests? Like, what was that experience like?
Oh my gosh, every time I took a test, I felt like my hands were shaking, because there was times that I would get a BFP and I wouldn't feel pregnant at all. And then there was times that I totally thought I was pregnant and it would be a negative test. And you know, your mind just starts to play tricks on you, and being on a stick addict, you truly start to feel like an addict. And I'm sure, you know, if you've dealt with addiction in your family, like, there is a sense of like craziness to it, right? You're almost like sneaking it and hiding it. At least I know I was. It would be like, I would like lock the bathroom door and I would like, you know, pee on a stick, and it would be like way too early in my cycle to find out if I'm pregnant or not, but I would do it anyways. But I didn't want the husband to know it, so I'd like lock the door, and then he'd come and like knock on the door, and I'd have to like lie and tell him that I was like pooping or something, like leave me alone, when really I was like peeing on sticks secretively in the bathroom. So yeah, I felt crazy.
You are 1 in 4. You had a few BFPs that did not end in a healthy, happy pregnancy. I am so sorry for your losses.
Saturday, I was feeling really, really great about everything. I was starting to have more pregnancy symptoms. I took another first response pregnancy test, and it was much, much darker, which gave me lots of hope. On Sunday, I felt like things started to dwindle. Just an inner feeling. I was like, I don't feel as pregnant anymore. I know that feeling all too well. It has happened to me 3 times already in the past. No bleeding, no spotting, no nothing. So it's like, okay, this is just my head playing tricks on me. Trauma, right? That's what trauma does to you.
Thank you for being open and talking to us about it. You had four, which I can't even imagine. I'm so sorry for all of your losses. I commend your bravery and your courage for sharing them with the world, something like so deeply personal. And I'm glad that it's come out with a healthy pregnancy. If you could tell your pre-miscarriage self one thing, what would it be?
If I could tell my pre-miscarriage self anything, number one, it would be buckle up. You're about to embark on a wild ride. But really, like, honestly, I'm just being like super real with you guys. I think that I would tell myself to lay off the judgment, because you don't truly know what people are going through behind closed doors. And I would not know how traumatic and lonely of an experience this is unless I went through it myself, which is why I have made it such a mission to be so open about my journey, because before I went through it myself, I had absolutely no clue that other people were dealing with this kind of sadness and mixture of emotions, and that, you know, starting a family it's so much more than that for a lot of women out there. So I think that I would say like lay off the judgment, just because I know that without understanding it, if I would have heard somebody else's story, I just wouldn't have understood it, if that makes sense. So yeah, buckle up and lay off the judgment.
I am sure that your pre-pregnancy self, she thanks you for that. I think whenever we go through a miscarriages, we always wonder about that BFP, the subsequent one. Is it going to be okay? Is it going to happen for some of us? And you recently did a video where you talked about having good days and having bad days. And I would love for you to share a little bit of that struggle with the fam. I think it's important for people to understand that it's not just clear sailing on the other side, and that it can still feel uncertain. I've seen a video where you have the Doppler and you're listening to the heartbeat. Can you just talk a little bit about what that struggle is like? Does the pregnancy feel real yet? Do you pinch yourself when you wake up? Are you able to enjoy your pregnancy at all?
Oh yes, the journey is not over once you reach the other side. Not over at all. Once you've experienced loss, there's a whole nother sense of fear involved, right? Every single day I experience some sort of fear. Like, am I gonna make it? Am I gonna meet this baby? Is everything okay? Where I feel like a lot of women before, if they don't have a miscarriage, there is still that sense of fear, but it's not as extreme of a level as somebody who has experienced those losses in the past. I'm constantly worried. I struggle hardcore enjoying the pregnancy as much as I try to. I have my good days and I have my bad days. And what I always like to explain is like, pregnancy is hard on its own, right? And infertility is extremely hard on its own. So for us women out there who are dealing with, the infertility journey first, and then there's the pregnancy journey, we are worn out. We are exhausted. There's a whole another level of just extreme breakdown and emotions, because we almost have like a journey before the journey, and it is draining. Once I hit 20 weeks, that's when it started to feel a little bit more real, because my belly, I feel like, officially popped and I look pregnant, where before that I was almost always waiting for the ball to drop. And I still, even today as I'm filming this video, I had this overwhelming sense of fear, right? Because we're starting to talk about baby showers and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's such a big step, right? Like any big step that you make during your pregnancy, you start to second guess it, and you start to be like, well, what if, and it's really hard. And there's this transition period where you go from, if we get to meet this baby, to when we get to meet this baby. And when you cross that path, and I think it's different for everybody in the length of their pregnancy, but once you cross that path, there is a little bit more air to breathe. Like it just is kind of like, there's some weight lifted off, but I truly don't think that the weight is ever fully lifted off until you're holding that baby in your arms. Yeah, there's good days and there's bad days, and you just gotta roll with it.
That makes sense. I have to imagine after the fifth time, you can't help but wonder. My dermatologist, she had 7, and she said in the interim, she had to get a dog because she needed to mother something. But she ended up going to an immunologist afterwards, a reproductive immunologist, Dr. Braverman here in New York, and that, he was able to solve that missing piece. What was the hurdle that you had to overcome? I know that you talked to a doctor. Was that like the last bit of thing? Was it just bad luck? Like what was causing the struggle? Do they know? Is it attributable to anything?
Yeah, I know. That's a hard question, because I don't think that we will ever know if what we changed or what we did differently actually affected the outcome of this pregnancy, or if it just came down to kind of like the luck of the draw. But you know, you have one miscarriage, right? And then you have two, and you're just like, oh, will someone just like please like help me figure out what's going on? And then you have three, and once you've had that third, which I won't even dig too deep into it because it drives me crazy that the doctors typically wait until that third pregnancy loss to start digging deeper and doing that testing. But once you have that third, there's almost like this sense of, obviously you still have like the sadness and the grief and whatnot, but like of relief as well. It's a really weird mixture of emotions. And if you've had three, you know what I'm talking about, but it's just kind of like that relief that like finally somebody's gonna like do something about this. Somebody's gonna like help me. I'm finally gonna get some help with this. And we did all the testing, like all the testing you can possibly do with our OBGYN. We've done it. Everything, literally everything came back normal. And then when I had my fourth loss, I think my OBGYN was like, I don't know what else to do. And he referred me to a reproductive endocrinologist who we met with to kind of chat other options and just like if she knew of anything that we could possibly test for that maybe my OBGYN didn't think of. And also just chat like IVF. If is that something that we need to consider type of a thing. And because all of my tests came back so normal, she didn't think IVF was like the right route for us at that moment. So all we did was we chatted with her, right? We chatted with her. I went over, you know, my test results. And one thing that we went over was my thyroid, which was a test that we had done with my OBGYN. And my thyroid, you guys, was in like that normal range. And the reproductive endocrinologist explained like, yes, like you are in the normal range, but for your age and trying to conceive, we would like to just bring it down into like this really specific range. And so she actually put me on thyroid medication, levothyroxine, for I think it's a hypoactive, I'm so bad at that, hypoactive thyroid. About 4 days after we chatted, I actually got a positive pregnancy test, which you guys can see over on my YouTube channel. And it was a very different experience than I had had before. I kind of just like went and crawled into like my little hermit hole. And I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my husband for a couple days. I didn't tell my doctor for about a week. And I don't even know if I would have told him, but he actually called me to see how the meeting went with the endocrinologist. And I was like, yeah, I'm actually pregnant. And he's like, okay, come in for your blood test. And I was like, do I have to? I mean, I've been through this 4 other times. Like, let's just see how it plays out. And he was like, no, you have to come in for a blood test. And it ended up being my highest HCG yet. They kept me on the levothyroxine, and we have had a successful pregnancy. And we're almost 21 weeks here. I'm still on levothyroxine. I will be throughout my whole pregnancy. Did it do something? Did it help? I have no idea. Like, I truly have no idea. Was it the levothyroxine and the thyroid, or was it just the luck of the draw? Unfortunately, we'll never know.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you made it to the other side and you have that little boy growing inside of you. It's a beautiful thing. You recently made a funny video about what not to say to someone who's had a miscarriage or who is suffering with infertility, and I loved it.
What not to say to women out there who are struggling with miscarriage or infertility.
I think sometimes people just don't know what to say. I remember getting some pretty crazy advice, but I think it's important to have the dialogue, have the conversation, teach people how they can support us. I was wondering if you could share a little bit about something that someone said that you found inspiring or supportive or helpful when you were, in the midst of all of the emotional turmoil of the miscarriages.
Yeah, honestly, there are a lot of things not to say, and I agree. I think people just don't know what to say. And so I never really get like angry. I kind of just use it as like a learning experience. But a few things that I typically enjoy, hearing from somebody is, something empathetic, or like, I get where you're coming from, but obviously don't try to get it. Like if you get it, you get it, and I want to hear about it. So just almost like that me too, like I get you, girl, you're not alone, we're in this together type of a thing. And that's something that I really try to provide for other people, because it helps me and it works for me. Everybody's different. Everybody kind of just like has their thing that they like to hear, but I am personally not somebody who, I don't like it when people feel sorry for me. And, I just maybe want somebody to listen to me. And it's as simple as just listening and not feeling like you need to fix the problem type of a thing, but just hear me out, empathize with me, like crack a joke or two, like let's be normal. And compliments too, just being like, wow, like you're a strong human being. Like just a compliment, like, just acknowledging the fact that what I'm going through isn't easy, but like I'm gonna get to the other side type of a thing. So those are kind of the things that I personally like to hear. But I think the most important thing is just when somebody's going through a battle or a struggle is just to sit back and not necessarily think about what can I say that's going to make me feel better and is going to make me feel like I'm helping them, and instead be like, how do they want to be helped? How can I help them? And even ask that question, be like, how can I help you through this? Because sometimes I think, we say things sometimes just to make ourselves feel better, when really it should be about the other person.
Oh, thanks for sharing that. I do think it's important to have a conversation, open dialogue, and I think, that's a good place to start. If other people are watching and they're not sure how to have a conversation with their family members about being supportive, I think that they'll find that useful. Thank you for sharing that. I had my miscarriage last year, and my baby would be 1 year old on the 18th of November. I'm going to make 2 little cupcakes and honor him. I don't know if he's really a boy. In my mind, he's a boy. Honor him in that way. Have you thought about honoring your angel babies in any way? Like, what kind of helps you make peace with it? If you have made peace, I haven't. But it's something that I don't even know what that means to make peace with it, honestly. It's something I have to do. I have to recognize that I feel like that day is etched in my mind forever. How will you, and if you will, how will you kind of recognize and honor your angel babies?
That is a really good question, and actually not something that I have thought about very often. I would like to. So if you guys have any ideas, or if you have ways that like you kind of acknowledge your angel babies, like leave them in the comments below, because I would love to read other people's stories and kind of like how they do that. The only date that I remember or kind of like struggle with is the due date of my first pregnancy. After that first pregnancy loss, I did not even look at the due dates of my other babies. Even this pregnancy, I didn't want to know the due date until I was a little bit further along, just because that due date is so extremely hard for me. And it's one thing to have like one day that's extremely hard, but then when I kept having miscarriages, I don't want, every month for there to be a date that I struggle with. So I really didn't pay too much attention to that. And that's kind of a coping mechanism that I used. Everybody's different again in this sense, but that first due date or birthday of my first baby is actually my birthday. So now my birthday is kind of like our birthday. So I guess in some way that's kind of how I celebrate, or, acknowledge, is like, that's our day. But yeah, I'd love to hear, what some of you guys do in the comments below.
Beautiful. All right, last question, and I'll leave it open to you. Is there anything you want to share with women who are struggling with infertility, who have suffered miscarriages, who are somewhere on the journey to completing their family? Anything at all?
Yeah, one thing that I would love to share is just keep going and go at your own pace. Like, don't compare yourself to other people. It's extremely easy to do that. You know, unfollow, unsubscribe, do what you need to do if somebody's story is making you feel sad or uncomfortable. One thing that I always like to remind myself is there's something extremely powerful in understanding or realizing when we're powerless. And miscarriage is an extremely powerless situation. So just understanding and realizing that, like, it's not something that we have done, you know, we didn't do it. We didn't have control over this. It's extremely powerful to just kind of like release that into the universe and be like, this isn't on me. But at the same time, kind of like taking control and moving forward with the steps that you need to move forward with, and being your own advocate with your doctor. And just keep going. Just keep going. I always, you know, I get a lot of people that are like, how did you deal with the fear after a miscarriage? And it's like, you don't. You're always going to have that fear. So like, you could take a month off, you could take 2 months off, you could take 3 months off if you need to. Like, if you feel like you're at a breaking point, like, take that time off. But if you're taking that time off just because you're scared, guess what? When you start back up again, you're still going to be scared. Like, unfortunately, that's just a part of our journey now, but we just need to embrace it. We need to just like understand, like, we don't have control over it, and nothing that we do is going to change the outcome. So just work closely with your doctors and shut off from the outside world when you need to. Because, girl, there are going to be times that you need to, especially if you're being open about your story and your journey.
Shelly, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to sit down and talk with me, and for sharing with my fertility fam. I really appreciate it. Like I said, it gives me hope to see someone on the other side after having suffered and struggled, and I hope it gives everyone else hope. You definitely are an inspiration. We are proud of you. We are rooting for you. We are encouraging you. We understand you'll have your dark days. We'll be here. We'll be here either way. Rain, sleet, snow, and sunshine. We are faithful that way. Is there anything else that you want to say before we close at all that maybe I didn't cover? Any closing words?
I just want to say thank you so much, Tanika. It is women like you who are spreading the word that are going to someday help this not be such a hush topic. And, you know, just open up those doors so that when these experiences happen, like, women don't have to feel so lonely anymore, and they have others to relate to who truly get it. And that's a really crazy, powerful thing. It's why I do what I do. It's why you do what you do. And I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you and your story so much, and I'm so happy that I could be a part of this with you.
Thank you so much, Shelly. All right, fam. Wasn't that amazing? Yay, Shelly. Thanks for coming on and sharing your story. If you want to hear more from Shelly, please head over to her channel. I will put a link down below to her channel. Please go over and subscribe. Remember to click that notification bell so that you'll be notified when she uploads a new video. If you can't wait for her to upload a new video, please head over to simplytanika.com. Her article is posted today where she goes into detail about her story and how she got to where she is now. I love her humor. I'm sure you'll love it too. She totally speaks in her voice in the article, which is refreshing. And yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. Also, show her some love over in her channel. If you have any comments about what she said, let's keep the conversation down below. Let me know. What did you think of the article? Let me know what you thought of the video today, of what she shared. And if you liked it, what's the best way to show you like something? A big thumbs up. Please give this video a big thumbs up. All right, ladies, as always, please remember to take very good care of yourself, because we have to do what? Let's get those babies, ladies. All right, until next time. Mwah. Baby, that's to you all.
I see the crystal raindrops fall, and the beauty of it all is when the sun comes shining through to make those rainbows in